There is a scene at the end of La La Land that hits people right in the gut. Me and Sebastian share a look across a crowded jazz club, and in that glance, we're taken through an alternate timeline. The life they could have had. It's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, and it feels more perfect than the one they actually lived. This got me thinking that when a relationship is unfinished, we don't idealize a person because they were perfect for us, but because the relationship never reached closure. It's the incompleteness that keeps it psychologically alive. Unfinished stories hold emotional weight because the human brain cannot live with a vacuum. The lack of resolution creates a space in our mind where fantasy and projection take over. We imagine what could have been, not what actually was. When someone leaves or a relationship ends prematurely, the mind, uncomfortable with the emptiness, fills it with imagined understanding or connection. We're not seeing who they truly were, but instead we're seeing our unmet needs shaped in their image. Ultimately, we're not mourning the real person, but the version of them we created based on our desires and unfulfilled emotional needs. We have always used stories to compensate for the messiness and chaos of life. But we can't forget that life itself is not a story. The fact that most recently there was a player in Wimbledon who lost 6-0, 6-0 just goes to show that real life is not perfect. Just imagine all the effort that went towards reaching the final in Wimbledon. It's a lot of discipline and it's a lot of hard work. And as the commentators were saying, her dream turned into a nightmare because no one wants to achieve a sports final and lose 6-0, 6-0. However, real life is like that. Real life is not perfect. Stories are curated, polished. They follow arcs, patterns, closure. They promise that the pain will make sense in the third act, that the good will be rewarded, that the kiss will come before the credits. But life is uncensored, unbounded, unfiltered. Life forgets its lines, it misses its cues. It leaves entire chapters open, unresolved, and moves on anyway. Sometimes the villain wins, sometimes the love never returns. Sometimes you grow, but nobody claps. We suffer, not because life is cruel, but because we expect it to unfold like fiction. We were taught to look for narrative, to demand justice, to wait for the montage where it all comes together. But there is no soundtrack here, no final scene wrapped in golden light. There are only moments, raw, fleeting, holy, and then another and another. Stories teach us how to feel, but they lie about the pace of healing. They give us meaning, but they sell it in clean lines. And life, real life, makes you find your own. So maybe peace doesn't come from forcing life to be a story. Maybe it comes from letting it be what it is: a storm, a silence, a glance that never gets returned, a grief that never fully ends, a laugh that interrupts the tears. Maybe life is a poem without punctuation, a dance with no choreography, a song that breaks its own rhythm, just to remind you it's alive. So, no, life is not a story, but it's still worth living, even without a plot, especially without one.